My wife is furious that I'm filming this video right now. I should be downstairs swimming. We're on vacation. I should be wearing the custom swim trunks she got me that have my dog's face on them. Instead, I am here filming this video for you. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks, and from Kalahari, I will be breaking down the entire UFC Vegas 88 fight card, giving you my picks, predictions, and bets. But before I do, let's take a look at the wild success that I had at UFC 299. I was up money. Jacob was up money as well. His underdog lock of the week did miss, but he was up money with the rest of his bets. We had the best DraftKings ownership projections in the game, and I gave you two different safety parlays that both hit. I gave you 83% return on investment for all of the bets that we put up for premium. If you want to unlock the safety parlay for UFC Vegas 88, you can do that now. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. It's only $10 for an entire month, and you're going to get a whole bunch for that. One of those things, as I mentioned, is the safety parlay. The safety parlay is a parlay that I put together for every single event. Sometimes I'll give you two safety parlays for an event. Sometimes just one. Some events are a little easier than others, but either way, it is wildly successful. It is the beacon of stability in the very unstable world of betting on MMA. I have hit 11 of the last 13 parlays. I hit at a 71% event rate. I have hit 6 in a row on pay-per-views. That premium membership is also going to get you tools like the line movement tracker. This is going to give you the opening odds, the current odds, the win probability, and the line movement for every single fighter on every single card. You're also going to get the detailed data, metrics, and analytics. This is 38 columns of information that you can use to find your spots. I like to use these for prop bets. You get the takedown prop bets, you get the significant strike prop bets, and it is very nice to work through the spreadsheet, look at people's takedown percentages, look at people's takedown averages, the defense of their opponent, and work from there. You're also going to get the best DraftKings projections in the game. If you play DraftKings Fantasy, you know what these numbers are and how important they are. This is the slate from UFC 299. We dominated. You're going to see those columns, competitor 1, competitor 2. Those are giant companies. Those are Awesemo, Roto Grinders, the massive companies in the daily fantasy space, and we beat every single one of them. These companies have hundreds of millions of dollars behind them, and they still can't put up better numbers than the guy that I pay to do this. It's absolutely insane, and these numbers will be preloaded into the DraftKings optimizer. You can unlock every single thing that I just covered and so much more for only $10 a month. That's $2.50 an event. If you signed up for UFC 299, all of this is already included for the $10 that you gave us last week. It is the best deal in this space. There are people out there trying to sell services with 1/5 of this for $30, $50, $100 a month. This is $10 a month. We are in the volume business. I have over 3,000 happy premium members, and that's because we are the greatest value in the game. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Let's go ahead and break down this card. I'll tell you right now, not a great card. This is not a very good card. It's not the worst card we've ever seen, but it's certainly not a good one. And opening up the UFC Vegas 88 fight card, we have Chad Anheliger taking on Charalampos Grigoriou. I got there, even from this hotel room. Chad Anheliger is a powerful striker with solid BJJ if it gets to the ground. He sets a nice pace and he hits incredibly hard. His takedown defense is just okay, and it has failed him in the UFC, but his sweeps and his get-up game are very impressive. If he gets on top, he will just tee off. Just absolutely tee off on you. He has 4 fights in the UFC, but he has given up 10 takedowns, including one in his last fight, which was a loss to Jose Johnson, where he had 4 of his own before being submitted. He's taken on Charalampos Grigoriou. I don't know why I said that with an Italian accent. He's not Italian. But he is a powerful striker with heavy leg kicks. He absolutely will just chop that tree down, and he can win fights right from there, just from the leg kicks. He can grapple as well with big takedowns, heavy top pressure. Overall, he's a solid prospect who can win fights both on the feet and on the ground. He's coming off a Contender Series win over Cameron Smotherman to earn his UFC shot here. And if this fight was last year, I might have leaned Anheliger. But after seeing his takedown defense just fail him time and time again, I need to go Grigoriou. Not only is he a powerful striker, but he can hang on the feet as well. His wrestling can bail him out of trouble if he ends up in trouble. He's a pretty heavy favorite here, but I do think he is going to earn that price tag. So I'm liking Charalampos Grigoriou. I don't know why some of these names I just can't not say like a regular person. That takes us to Cory McKenna taking on Jaqueline Amorim. Cory McKenna is actually very solid. She's out of that team alpha male with Song Yudong and a whole bunch of others. And you know that gym is well-trained, well-coached, and they're all well-rounded. And she is not the exception to that rule. She's very well-rounded. She's a ton of fun to watch. She literally does everything. She'll march forward, throwing 1-2s. Then she'll back away, stay out of the pocket, throw Superman punches or even head kicks to get back in the pocket. When she grapples, she's got okay entries, but literally can pick you up and slam you to the ground before working submission. She can be hittable, though, and she does need to clean some things up, but she is so tough and so busy that she makes it work for her. She's coming back after a year away where she got married. Congratulations to Cory McKenna. She's taking on Jaqueline Amorim. She is a very talented prospect. Slick grappler, blast doubles, a myriad of submissions. She also has power in her hands and is a genuine threat everywhere. She can come forward like a buzzsaw and just cut through everything in front of her. Her striking is a bit wide, it is a bit raw, but the power is insane. You don't see too many people at this weight who can one punch knock people out, but Jaqueline definitely can. She's coming off that bounce-back win over Montserrat Ruiz, where she showed improved cardio on top of her slick BJJ. And the improved cardio was very important because in her UFC debut, it was trash. Just trash cardio. And the only thing that has me even questioning Cory here is the layoff and her priorities. If she didn't take a year off to get married, I'd be all over her here. I'm still going to pick her to win because I think she's the more well-rounded and absolutely the more in shape, better cardio fighter in this situation. If she can survive some early takedown attempts from Jaqueline, she should be able to just take over with the striking pressure and potentially get a whole bunch of takedowns of her own. She did just get married, though. That could be a massive distraction. I'm married to just the nicest, the sweetest woman in the world. Not a woman who just texted me, "Get down here and bring your daughter's floaties." Not that woman. A much nicer woman I married. But getting married can be a distraction. And then maybe she's focusing on having children. Maybe it's, let me just get this fight out of the way, then we'll have a kid. I don't know. But I do like Cory to win this fight. I'm not sure what to do with this line. She is a -106, so she's a slight underdog. That may continue to move. I'll keep an eye on our own line movement tracker to see if I can get better odds with that. But right now, I am going to lean Cory McKenna. I think she's just the better, more well-rounded fighter. Look at this. I talk a little trash about the wife, and then I'm possessed by a demon and can't get words out. I think she's the more well-rounded fighter, and I think she wins this fight. That takes us to Josh Culibao versus Danny Silva. This could be an interesting fight, and I was surprised to see that the line on this was 2.5 and the over was juiced. Because Josh Culibao is a solid striker. He's aggressive. He's tough. He throws with heat and is always live for a knockout. His willingness to engage in a dirty, inside-the-pocket type fight is incredible. He has no problem making it ugly, and you can see that with his negative striking differential. He's not much of a grappler, though, and while he has solid takedown defense at 72%, he is 0 for 6 on offensive takedown attempts. He's coming off the decision loss to Lerone Murphy, where he survived an early knockdown and then lost a one-sided decision. He's taking on Danny Silva. This guy's a striker with clean technique, plenty of movement. He likes to invest in the body early for a late payoff. He doesn't have much in the way of offensive wrestling, but he does have decent takedown defense and a good get-up game. He's not amazing at anything, but a solid striker who can wear you down and take a decision. I was hoping to get a better line here. I was hoping to get a better line on Josh. He looked terrible in his last fight. In fact, 2 judges had him giving up 10-8 rounds. He was beat that bad. So I was hoping that coming into this fight, they'd be like, this guy, a little overrated. But no, his line is juiced. No luck. He's a -170 favorite, and that seems to be moving. And he honestly should be. He's the much better fighter everywhere. Danny Silva has solid body work, good technique, but he's not dangerous and can be taken down if he has success on the feet. Josh is the pick here, and even though I don't love these odds, they're probably going to widen quickly, so you may want to jump on them nice and early. And that takes us to Thiago Moises versus Mitch Ramirez. This is a new fight to this card. We don't necessarily have odds for this just yet, but I imagine Thiago Moises is going to be a big favorite here because he's a tried and true entity at this point. He's a very slick grappler. He does a great job staying dangerous while being composed. He maintains position, but he's still working for submissions. And even though he is primarily a grappler who averages more than 1 takedown per fight, he's got technical striking and he can hang with most people. He uses solid low kicks to set up takedowns and is surprisingly young, even giving his full slate of experience. He's coming off that second round finish loss to Benoit Saint-Denis, where he was taken down 5 times and had his strikes 5 times as well. Benoit Saint-Denis landed 5 times the amount of strikes that Thiago Moises did. And he's taking on Mitch Ramirez, UFC newcomer Mitch Ramirez. He's a solid wrestler. He's got some decent striking. He throws a ton of leg kicks, and he uses them to set up his takedowns. When he gets it to the ground, he's looking to control more than he is to finish, but he does have plenty of power both on the feet and on top. Overall, he's a well-rounded guy that was welcoming this short notice opportunity to have another crack at the UFC. Moises was just taken down 5 times and mauled. But even though Mitch is a very good wrestler, he's not Benoit Saint-Denis. And yeah, Dustin Poirier just knocked that dude out, but he beat the shit out of Dustin Poirier before getting cracked. It was clear Benoit is a wild savage who comes forward and does what he wants to do. So seeing Thiago Moises just get smoked by Benoit doesn't take much out of it for me. And Mitch Ramirez is a wrestler, but it's not the same level of wrestling, not the same level of aggression. I think Thiago is going to win the striking exchanges, and I think he's a good enough grappler to either defend the takedowns or sweep off bottom if he is taken down. We don't have odds yet for this fight. Moises is the pick, and if we somehow get something that even resembles a favorable line, I'm probably going to go ahead and jump on him here. That takes us to Jafel Filho taking on Ode Osbourne. This is another fight where the odds were a little surprising to me. Jafel Filho is like an actual favorite, meaning it's not like minus 120. Like, he's an actual favorite here. And Ode is a tried and true entity. So I'm surprised Jafel's such a good size favorite. Ode is a southpaw striker. He uses his range well to keep people at the end of his punches. He's got a ton of power, great finishing ability, especially at 125 pounds. He's got 5 wins in the UFC with takedowns in 3 of them. But he is coming off that loss to Asu Almabayev, where he walked Asu down, but he was taken down easily and submitted in the second round. And that matters because he was just taken down and submitted, and that's what Jafel might want to do here. But we just saw how good Asu is versus CJ Vergara. Certainly, that fight went the distance. He didn't blow through CJ, but he was pretty dominant in that fight. And Ode is taking on Jafel Filho, a very fast-paced guy who will engage in a firefight or look to work takedowns. He can get wild in his striking, but he is fast and he throws heat. His takedown defense is solid, and he has offensive takedowns of his own as well. He is mostly looking to strike early, but if you do pressure him and he doesn't like it, he will start to grapple. He famously had Muhammad Makayev's knee just facing in the absolute wrong direction last year. He's coming out that first-round submission win over Daniel Barberena last summer. And Jafel's a good-sized favorite here. As I mentioned, he's a legitimate favorite in this fight. And I get it if you look at it from a grappling-only perspective, meaning Jafel will have a very good size advantage on the ground, and we did just see Ode get taken down pretty easily. But Ode is a gamer, and it's not as easy as, oh, just take him down and you'll win. Ode is a solid striker, has decent scramble skills, and will make you work. Ultimately, Jafel probably wins this fight, but I have way too much respect for Ode, his striking game, his scramble skills, to bet on this fight. I'm going to leave this alone. Ode is a very solid underdog on this card. And that takes us to Josiane Nunes. Hello?
Hey, when are you coming down here?
You may have noticed that jump cut there. Finished talking about Jafel Filho, about to talk about Josiane Nunes, and there's a jump cut. And that's because the wife called me and said, when are you coming downstairs? So I'm in it, man. I'm in it. Do me a favor, at least like the video so that it was worth it getting yelled at. We got to power through this. We got to get through this. Next up, at UFC Vegas 88, we have Josiane Nunes taking on Chelsea Chandler. Chelsea Chandler famously last year ran away. Literally ran away from Norma Dumont after talking all that shit at the weigh-ins. But this could be actually a decent fight. And I was shocked to see the odds on the over for round lines here. And I'll talk about that in a second. But we got Josiane Nunes. She's a striker. She got crazy power. She throws very, very hard. Not a grappler, though. Her striking is solid and busy. She likes to come forward leg kicks and then bomb away with big overhands. She is compact, but does not have issues with range, even when she's usually the much shorter and much smaller fighter. She hits very hard and is wild, but can be easily out-techniqued. She's coming off that decision win over a 40-year-old Zara Farn, where she did show us that she can take a punch. She's taking on Chelsea Chandler. Chelsea Chandler is powerful, well-rounded. She likes to come forward as well, throwing big bombs, and those push you against the cage, and then she'll work in some takedowns there. She is incredibly strong, and she uses that strength to rip her opponents to the mat and control them there. She's not incredibly fast. She's not really athletic, but she is tough, powerful, big, and she never stops marching forward, except for that time that she literally ran away from Norma Dumont in her last fight after getting rocked. And listen, she embarrassed herself in her last fight. That was bad. She got turned into a meme with the way she ran away. But that is not an accurate depiction of her fighting ability. She's very tough, a solid striker, and she is going to be giant in this fight. I think she wins here. I'd argue Josiane looked worse in her last fight than Chelsea did in hers. Because Josiane fought a 40-year-old. Chelsea Chandler fought a top 5 ranked woman on the planet. And yeah, she got beat. But Josiane barely beat a 40-year-old who was cracking her whenever she wanted to. I like Chelsea Chandler here. I'm hoping she'll become an even bigger dog. Chelsea's the dog right now. I'm hoping she becomes an even bigger dog because I will bet on her here. And I teased it a little earlier. I was surprised at the round over. It's only like minus 120 to go over 2.5 rounds. I think this is definitely a decision fight. They're both very tough. And while a lot of my breakdown sounds like Josiane is like going to finish people and big, powerful striker, she is all of those things. But it was clear in her last fight, she's not a finisher. She's not somebody that's just going to come forward and beat your brakes off and finish you. So, especially somebody as tough as Chelsea Chandler. And if Chelsea gets in trouble, we know she'll turn into a track star. Chelsea's the pick. And I may do a little bit on that over 2.5 because that round line is just so good. Then we have Natan Levy coming back after a year away, taking on Mike Davis. This should be an interesting fight. And Mike Davis is a big favorite here. And I can kind of understand that, right? He's fast, athletic striker, very real power. He transitions to his wrestling well. His kicks are incredible, and he will double tap the body and then hit the head before putting a back foot on the mat. It's crazy what he can do. He's incredibly well-rounded and has showcased that in his last 3 fights where he had a combined 14 takedowns. He's coming off the win over Slava Claus, where his wrestling was on point, and so was his fight IQ. He's taking on Natan Levy. This guy's a nonstop grappler who is averaging an impressive 5.37 takedowns per fight. He has slick takedowns, slick BJJ, and continues coming forward no matter how tired he gets. His striking is just okay, and unfortunately, it's not enough to get him through fights on its own. He is riding a 2-fight win streak with a combined 15 takedowns, but he still managed to give up a round in each of those fights. We've got 2 guys coming off of long layoffs for very different reasons. Natan Levy has had a handful of canceled fights and then a war at home, which he is very emotionally invested in, understandably so. And I do think that that could affect this fight quite a bit. Mike Davis had a layoff as well, but it was more a couple of nagging injuries. The layoff isn't new to Mike, though. He's had more than a year layoff for his last 3 fights. In between each of his last 3 fights, he has had a layoff of a year or more. And I always do these breakdowns without looking at the odds first. And I assume Natan would be the favorite here because he's got the name recognition, he's got the wrestling, but I was wrong. Mike is not only the favorite, he's a 3-1 favorite in this fight. And I guess that makes sense, right? The wrestling that we saw in his last fight was great, and he can come in with the exact same game plan that Rafa Garcia did when he beat Natan. Just wrestle and avoid the BJJ. Mike Davis is going to be the pick. I'm hoping this line rebounds a little bit. I'm not betting on him at 3-1. So hopefully that tightens up. And we'll get 2-1, 1.5-1, or something like that. And then Mike Davis can be bettable. And before we hit the main card, what would this be if I wasn't plugging premium and talking about how wildly successful my safety parlay is? I have hit 11 of the last 13, 6-0 in the last 6 pay-per-views. It hits at a 71% event rate. And those numbers are absolutely astonishing if you zoom out and look at what betting on MMA is. This is a parlay for every single event. I'm very proud of it and very proud of its success, and it's a return on investment. There are people out there with different betting systems, different betting techniques. Lots of people love big, heavy favorites and things of that nature. And maybe they'll make some money, but their ROI, their return on investment, is like 6%. This one single parlay, the return on investment is 29% in its lifetime. We're almost on 2 years of the safety parlay. You can unlock this at WeWantPicks.com. Just click Become a Member at the top. And if you need a couple of dollars, I'll send you 50 of them. Just go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, sign up with any one of our betting partners, make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. It's affiliate marketing. They're going to pay me. I'm going to slice off some of that money and give it right back to you. That takes us to our main card opener. We have two very battle-tested but unreliable guys. We have Gerald Meerschaert taking on Bryan Barberena. Gerald Meerschaert's a very good grappler. He's always live for a submission. He's not great on his feet. People are going to question his chin, understandably so, but he is tough, and he is not going to quit on himself. He's a very talented grappler, but like so many others, he doesn't have very good offensive wrestling. And even though he averages a little over 2 takedowns per fight, he has a very low 37% takedown accuracy. He's coming off that close decision loss to Andre Petroski, where if he wasn't chinny a little bit early, he probably would have taken that decision. He actually looked fantastic in that loss. He's taking on Bryan Barberena. This guy's a fun brawler. He likes to come forward. Got a decent gas tank, busy striker. He's not very technical, but he's got enough gas and enough pressure to make up for those holes. He has decent wrestling and grappling, but he almost never uses it. His entire game plan is like get hit in the face, come forward, and then hit his opponent. He fights like he looks. Sort of a chubby bar brawler who's going to wing big punches and hope for the best. Both of these guys are on unfortunate losing skids. But I do think they're very different. Meerschaert has been chinny with a knockout loss to Pfeiffer and then a decision loss to Petroski. He was dropped, which wasn't great, but he still looked good in that fight. Whereas Barberena is losing decisions because he can't defend takedowns. He's been taken down 18 times in his last 3 fights. And if he's taken down here, he's likely going to lose his 4th fight in a row. Bryan's going to be winging wild overhands early, potentially land one and win because Gerald Meerschaert can be a bit chinny. But the more likely outcome here is that Gerald Meerschaert is going to come forward, squeak out a takedown, and then snatch up a submission. Meerschaert's going to be the pick, but you cannot trust this guy, let alone as a 2-1 favorite. But I do like Meerschaert here just because his skills play into Barberena's skill gap. Then we have Pannie taking on Meerschaert. Pannie is a very good pure boxer, which means she's got a great jab. She never throws just one punch at a time. Her footwork is good, and she can outstrike the vast majority of the division. She has an impressive 71% takedown defense that she will likely need in this fight. She's coming off that decision loss to Ketlen Vieira, where she was taken down almost instantly in all 3 rounds. And while she was tough, she had no ability to get back up to her feet. She's taking on Meerschaert. She is tall, long, and uses that length really well to jab you up and work in her Muay Thai striking. She's got a positive striking differential and okay power. If you can get past the length, you can have some success staying in her face. But when she can keep the distance, she is very good and technical. She has added grappling to her game plan, which is an entirely new wrinkle to her. She took down Norma Dumont 6 times in that very good win, and most recently she took down Irene Aldana 3 times. She ended up losing that fight, but Irene went on to fight for a title. And when we judge fighters, we very much judge them off of their last performance. I'm trying not to do that here with Pannie, but it's so hard not to. Her lack of ability to get off the ground against Ketlen is concerning, right? That was a major issue for her in that fight. And especially now that Macy has become a wrestler, it's concerning even more. Pannie should have a big advantage in the striking. I can see her being clean, fast, having great entries, getting inside the range, but if she ends up in the clinch, or if she ends up getting taken down, she's going to have nothing to offer. It's so hard to pick Pannie in this fight because I really want to go with her. She's the underdog here. I really want to pick her. I like her a lot. She's an absolute dog, but she couldn't get up off bottom. And it's, but it's Norma Dumont. Macy beat Norma. So I got to go with Macy here. I think she'll squeak in a takedown, hold her down. Maybe Pannie can steal around, so a plus 3.5 might be a good bet there. If you don't know what plus 3.5 is, you're buying points on the judges' scorecard. And the way that math works out is all Pannie has to do is win one single round. If she wins one round on her own, then that bet covers and you get paid. And I think she can win a round. If she doesn't get taken down, let's say round 3, wins that round with her striking, lost the first 2, that bet should hit. So we'll take a look when those odds drop. If you're a premium member, make sure your Discord is linked because you'll get an alert to your phone when we place that bet. And to be clear, I get these emails every Saturday. We've been averaging, it's crazy. You guys are amazing. We've been averaging anywhere from 80 to 150 premium members on Saturdays on fight nights. New premium members. It's crazy, our growth. But I do get a lot of questions. Hey, I'm all signed up. How do I see the picks in the Discord? Two things there. The Discord is an added benefit to premium. The Discord is not premium. We're not selling a premium Discord. Our website is premium. The fully interactive website with all the tools, all the bets, that is premium. The Discord is just another tool that we offer to premium members included so that you can get notifications on your phone. So if you are a premium member, just go to your account page, click link Discord, and then you can get alerts on your phone. If you're a premium member, don't have Discord, doesn't matter. You don't need it. WeWantPicks.com, click become a member at the top. That takes us to Christian Rodriguez, C-Rod, taking on Isaac Dulgarian. This is another good fight. This is probably the best fight on this not so great fight card. Because Christian Rodriguez is a slick striker. He's got solid movement, good speed. He bounces between 135 pounds and 145 pounds. His only career loss was 145 pounds, and he's up again at 145. Rodriguez does have some decent takedown defense at 70%, but he has been taken down 13 times so far in the UFC. He's coming off of his second fraud check win in a row, this time over South African prospect Cameron Saman. Christian Rodriguez is just blowing through these prospects. He smoked Raul Rosas Jr. after the first round, beat Cameron Saman, and now he has another prospect in Isaac Dulgarian. Isaac Dulgarian is a legit prospect, though. He's exciting to watch, and you can't even type half of his name into YouTube while doing research without having 100 different wrestling videos pop up. He was a solid high school wrestler. He had success both in folk style, which is normal American wrestling, and freestyle, which is the international standard. He's a solid striker as well, who stays light on his feet. He does engage until he finds his opening, and then he'll shoot some takedowns. He's coming off that first TKO win over Francis Marshall in the UFC debut, where he looked to be the real deal. They gave him Francis Marshall, who they were trying to push. And then Isaac Dulgarian took him down, beat the shit out of him. No, it was no big deal at all. And some people might say, didn't we see this fight already? Didn't we see Christian Rodriguez beat a young grappler as an underdog just last year when he fought Raul Rosas Jr.? I don't think so. I don't think this is the same fight. I am surprised that Christian Rodriguez is an underdog because he has proven to be a guy that can beat these young, untested prospects. This is third fight in a row where he's not getting any respect. And I will say that win over Rosas was more about Rosas not having any cardio than it was about C-Rod doing what he was supposed to do. But C-Rod still won that fight. I do think this is a tremendous step up in competition for Isaac, and I don't think this is going to be immediate takedown to slaughtering that he's been getting used to. I think Isaac's going to have to work for this one a little bit. But I ultimately do think that he works and gets this done. That first round of that C-Rod fight, C-Rod was mauled. Just mauled. Raul Rosas Jr., who was like 17 at the time, was just taking him down at will, doing whatever the hell he wanted. Isaac Dulgarian should be able to do the same thing. So I am going to pick Isaac Dulgarian here. I do think he's the real deal. And we're about to find out for sure because Christian Rodriguez is the perfect prospect killer. So we're going to find out, is Isaac Dulgarian a genuine prospect or is he the next Cameron Saman? But either way, I am going to pick him. I do think his wrestling is real. His striking is good. And he's a dog. He's not a quitter. He's not soft. He's not going to do some weird, stupid shit like Cameron was doing. He's not going to gas because he has no fight IQ like Raul Rosas did. Isaac Dulgarian is going to be the pick. I absolutely think he gets this done. Then we have Kennedy Nchukwu in our featured fight of the evening, taking on Ovens St. Preux. Biggest favorite on this card. And while that does make sense, he's coming off a knockout loss just last summer. Kennedy Nchukwu is very long, very powerful, solid takedown defense at 80%. He's famously never out of a fight. He has multiple come-from-behind wins. But he can be gun-shy, which is how he even ends up needing a come-from-behind victory to begin with. He is very powerful. He moves forward. He can hit you with anything he wants, whenever he wants to, and he can submit you if he catches you in a transition. He is coming off that knockout loss to Dustin Jacoby just last summer. He's taking on Ovens St. Preux. This guy is a very talented guy, but he has made some career missteps with bouncing between weight classes that he never should have, stepping up on short notice against opponents he never should have. Style-wise, he's a very good striker with power and technique. He also averages a little more than one takedown per fight, but really only wrestles when the opportunity to do so just falls into his lap. He is frustrating to watch because you know how talented Ovens is, but he never seems to let his hands go. I just talked about Kennedy being gun-shy. Ovince St. Preux is like... If Kennedy is gun-shy, Ovince St. Preux is like socially awkward. That analogy wasn't great, but you get what I'm saying. He just will not let his hands go. It's always just one punch at a time and very low volume. He's coming off his own knockout loss to Felipe Lins where he had zero time to do anything. Ovens is 40. He hasn't had a chin since he was like 35. And I don't see any path to victory here outside of just a Hail Mary bomb. But even that is highly unlikely because he doesn't throw punches. How are you going to Hail Mary knock somebody out if you're not throwing punches to begin with? He sits, he waits, and he just lets fights pass him by. Kennedy is young, he's dangerous, he's long, still has a lot of career left in him. The pick is, quite frankly, very easy to be Kennedy here, and he's my most confident pick on this entire card. The odds aren't great, but they're honestly not bad either. If you look at this fight, you look at this matchup, and you look at what he is able to do. That takes us to the main event of the evening. We have Bryan Battle taking on Anheliger. Bryan Battle is a dog. I love this kid. I have picked on him and bet on him many, many times over. And I think I've been correct every single time I've picked one of his fights, including his loss to Renat. But he's a dog. He's constantly pressuring, constantly working towards something. He has shown us that he's got solid ground game. He's never out of a fight. He averages around one takedown per fight, but has a miserable 25% takedown accuracy. He is improving at an incredible pace, though. Every single fight, he physically looks different, and his skills are more and more polished. He's coming off that second-round submission win over AJ Fletcher. He's taking on Anheliger. This guy's a durable striker with decent volume, solid power, and an incredible chin. He likes to pump his jab like crazy and throw nice low kicks to manage range, and then he will just keep his opponents backing up. He can have a little bit of trouble when you pressure him. When he can't back you up, he can have some trouble. He does come forward with volume of more than significant strikes landed per minute, and he does do a good job of keeping people away. He has a 100% takedown defense, and he uses his offensive takedowns very well. He's coming off that decision win over Reese McKee, who sucks, where the takedown was there, but I do wish he threw more combinations. So he won that fight, but it wasn't multiple strikes at a time. It was one strike, takedown, one strike, takedown. Didn't love it. I'm a big Bryan Battle guy. I mentioned, I think I've picked every single one of his fights correctly. His transformation is incredible, and we're watching it unfold directly in front of our eyes. He's constantly improving. What I do worry for this fight, though, is he's going to need to be the better wrestler here, and I'm not sure if he can take Anj down. I don't see Bryan winning a striking match, and while I do have blind faith in him at this point, because he is improving so ridiculously fast, I can't look at his last fight and be like, that's who Bryan Battle is. I have to look at his last fight and then add 15% improvement on all of his skills for his next fight. And I think the last version of Bryan Battle, with the improvement since then, wins this fight. I think he's going to get it done. I have no action on him just yet. I'm going to monitor that line, see if it moves a little bit. I do think this is one of his toughest fights so far because Anheliger is very good, but I do trust Bryan Battle and just the incredible pace that he's improving. And then we have our main event of the evening. We have a heavyweight banger, and not really. That was an exaggeration because while Tai Tuivasa is a fun banger-type fighter, Meerschaert Tybura is not. We got Tai Tuivasa taking on Meerschaert Tybura. Tai Tuivasa trying to end a 3-fight skid. It's a tough fight to do that with, but he's a very heavy-handed striker. He's got solid volume, great low kicks. He has always been fast, always been powerful for his size, but he's also sharp and composed. Tuivasa has fantastic leg kicks, a piercing jab, a big overhand. His takedown defense is just okay, though, at 54%, and he has 0 offensive takedowns whatsoever in the UFC. You used to be able to argue that Tuivasa's biggest asset was his chin, but he has been knocked down 4 times in his last 3 fights, which is twice as many times as the entirety of his career combined before that. Tuivasa's chin is gone, at least at heavyweight. But he is fighting Meerschaert Tybura. This guy's not a big one-punch heavyweight kind of guy. He's a durable guy, and he's a grinder. He never quits. He's busy everywhere. His striking is just okay, sort of a punches and bunches kind of guy. The strikes are really there to set up his takedowns. If he gets a takedown, he's going to pound on you until you quit, and he doesn't need to look for submissions. Tybura averages a little more than one takedown per fight, but has a low 33% accuracy. Instead of clean doubles, he relies on body locks and trips to get it to the ground. He is coming off that very fast knockout loss to now champion Tom Aspinall. Everybody loves Tai Tuivasa, me included. But his 5-fight knockout win streak between 2020 and 2022 was honestly his downfall. It fooled people, including the UFC matchmakers, into thinking that Tai Tuivasa was elite. And then they threw him in there with actual elite heavyweights. Because of that, his chin is now gone. Those elite heavyweights destroyed his chin. It's gone. He still has power. All the offensive tools are still there, but he doesn't have the chin. I don't know what his confidence is either. He's a youngish guy. He's coming off 3 stoppage losses in a row. I think Marcin can come in, rush Tuivasa against the cage, and grind through some takedowns. The loss to Romanov, when Marcin Tybura lost to Romanov, that showed us how incredibly tough this guy can be. And outside of a massive Tuivasa overhand, I think Marcin Tybura can stay safe. Tybura is the underdog pick here. I am going to watch the line movement. A lot of these fights I'm watching line movement. There's already been some movement, and I'm just seeing if we can get a little better. He is plus 110 right now. Maybe we can get him at plus 120, plus 130 when the fan favorite gets some action on him. Marcin Tybura is going to be the pick, and that is entirely because of Tai Tuivasa's 54% takedown defense. Guys, that is the breakdown. Do me a favor. Become a premium member. By doing so, you unlock everything we do, including tools like the line movement tracker. This is going to give you the opening odds, the current odds, the win probability, and the line movement for every fighter on every card. You're also going to get detailed data, metrics, and analytics. This is 38 columns of information that you can use to find spots, to avoid spots, to jump on the prop bets. You're also going to get more than just me and Baby Red. You're going to get Artem. Breaks down far more than just UFC. He gives you Bellator, PFL, Dana White Contender Series, all the regional promotions, and the Pick Doctor. This is an AI. We have an artificial intelligence. Well, we don't have it. The Pick Doctor has it. He's a human being. He developed it. But we have those picks. Artificial intelligence picks picking at a wild win percentage using only historical data. Guys, become a premium member. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Thanks for the watch. Like, subscribe, do all the things. And please let this video be successful, because if it's not, I got yelled at by my wife for pretty much nothing.